This is bellwork for Tuesday, November 14th. On number 1, it's asking us to use the quadratic formula to solve negative 3y squared plus 2y plus 8 equals 0. So I'm just going to substitute in the numbers into the formula, which I've written right here. So negative b would be negative 2, and plus or minus, and b squared would be 2 squared, and minus 4 times a, which is negative 3, and times c, which is 8. And the whole thing is over 2 times a, so 2 times negative 3. Okay, then we'll go ahead and do underneath the radical first. So we'll get negative 2 plus or minus, and 2 squared is 4. So we have 4 minus 4 times negative 3 times 8. And then 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply, and we'll get negative 2 plus or minus square root of 4. And then we have negative 4 times negative 3 is going to be 12. So plus 12 times 8. And that'll be negative 2 plus or minus square root of 4 plus, let's see, it's 96. And then if we keep going like this, we'll get negative 2 plus or minus square root of 100. And don't forget, it's over negative 6. Okay, so from here, we'll go ahead and we're going to change it into two problems. So we have negative 2 plus square root of 100 for negative 6, and negative 2 minus square root of 100 for negative 6. Square root of 100 is 10, so it's negative 2 plus 10 over negative 6. Negative 2 plus 10 is negative 8. We get negative 8. It's not negative 8, it's going to be positive 8, so let's fix that. So we'll get positive 8 over negative 6. And when we simplify that, let's see, 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into negative 6, negative 3 times. So we're going to get negative 4 over 3 for our first solution. And then for the second one, over here, we're going to do negative 2 minus 10 over negative 6. And that's going to equal negative 12 over negative 6, which is positive 2. So our solutions are negative 4 over 3 and positive 2. All right, looking at number 2, it says simplify, and they want the square root of 24. And if you remember from yesterday's bellwork, we don't want decimals, so we want to change this into what's called an exact solution. So we're going to think of factors of 24. So let's go ahead and factor 24. And we'll just factor the whole thing. So we get 1 and 24, then 2 and 12, then 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. Okay, then we want to look through these factors and find any that are perfect squares. Okay, 1 is, but we're not going to count 1. All right, so we have 4. And let's keep going, see if we have any others. No. All right, so for the other factor of 24 that goes with the 4 is going to be 8. No, 6, I mean. So 6 times 4 is 24. So that's how we're going to split the 24. So we'll do square root of 24 equals square root of 4 times square root of 6. And then square root of 4 is 2. So we end up with 2 times the square root of 6. And that is square root of 24 in simplified form. On number 3, it's saying solve and then find the exact solutions. So x squared plus 81 equals 144. So what I want to do is subtract 81 from both sides. And we'll get x squared is equal to 63, it looks like. Okay, so we have x squared is equal to 63. Then we want to do square root of both sides. And we'll get x is equal to plus and minus square root of 63. Okay, and then let's see if we can simplify 63. So we'll go ahead and we'll factor it. And let's see what we get. So let's do that over here. So 63, when we factor it, we're going to get 1 times 63. And 2 doesn't go into it, so 3 times 21. And let's see, any more? And let's see, 7 times 9 is 63. Okay, so I think I got them all. The most important thing is I found a perfect square, which is 9. And do 9 times 7, we'll get 63. So that's how we're going to split the 63. So we're going to x is equal to plus or minus, and then we'll do square root of 9 times square root of 7. And the square root of 9 is 3. So we end up with our final answer being x equals plus or minus 3 times the square root of 7. On number 4, it's asking us to find the slope. And remember, the inputs to the function are the x values, and the outputs are the y. So for our first one, we have 0 is x and 4 is y. And our second one, 4 is x and 0 is y. Okay, so let's write these as ordered pairs. Our first ordered pair is 0 and 4. Second ordered pair is 4 and 0. And then the slope formula is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then we'll just put the numbers in. So here's x1, here's x2, here's y1, here's y2. So we'll get 0 minus 4 over 4 minus 0. And that's going to be negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1. So our slope for this is negative 1. On number 5, it's asking us to simplify negative 8 squared times negative x cubed. Alright, so let's just, for this one, let's go ahead and write it all out. So we have negative 8 times negative 8 times negative x times another negative x times another negative x. Okay, and the reason I'm writing this out is to kind of show you how this works. So if we're doing negatives and we have an even number of negatives being multiplied, it's going to turn into a positive. So for our first one, we have negative 8 times negative 8. That's 2 multiplications with negatives. So it's just going to be a positive 64. And then if we look at the variables, we have 3 x's being multiplied and they're all negative. So it's going to be a negative for an answer. And then we have x times x times x, which is x cubed. Okay, so we end up with 64 times negative x cubed. And then a positive times a negative is going to be a negative. So we get negative 64x